Welcome to my June Plan With Me video. Let's start with a flip through of my May setup. I really loved how this turned out and I was overwhelmed by your amazing responses. I was also gifted an amazing 42 pack of acrylic markers from Artristo, just to try them out. So during this video, I will be also trying these out for the very first time. Recently, I was watching all the Tinkerbell movies with one of my best friends, and suddenly got inspired to just make a bullet journal theme out of it. But let's get started. First, I taped up the edges of my painting area, and then started with the light blue color for the sky and water. I added some brighter blue to the water to make it a little bit more popping. Secondly, I added in the pink for the spring valley of Pixie Hollow. Then it was time for the green grass and bushes. Now it's time for the autumn forest and its beautiful amber colored leaves. I tried to add several shades to give it a little bit more depth. Now the first coat of green has dried, I'm going in again with a darker shade to give it more texture. Finally, it's time for the pixie dust tree, starting with its leaves in a vibrant green. Then a vibrant yellow to show the glow of its pixie dust. I'm continuing with a nice light chocolate brown and then adding in some extra details on the bushes in front of it. The tree didn't have enough contrast, so I'm darkening its bark and creating more texture in the leaves. I'm also adding more color in the autumn forest and some extra details in the fields of the summer glade. It's finally time to grab my Artristo acrylic markers. Off camera, I'm shaking all of them really well to get the paint mixed and have the paint be really opaque. I'm using the color Run Red for the highlights of the blossom trees. I'm using a scribbling technique to get as close as possible to a leafy texture. You could also use dots, but I thought that would be way too time consuming. Then I'm going in with the color pink to create some more depth and adding in the color purple red to create shadows. These were slightly too harsh, so I'm watering them down while using a small brush. Then I'm using the color orange yellow, khaki, and orange to highlight sections of the pixie dust tree. Now it's time for the tree stems of the autumn forest. In the close-up, you can see that they're really basic scribbles, but in the total picture, they look really good. The forest did feel a bit too flat for me, so I'm adding in some green for depth. I think I'm going to talk way too much about depth in this video though, so please be prepared. Onto the left corner with the big flowers representing the summer. You can see that firstly my pink did not cover as well, but after shaking it some more it was perfectly opaque. I'm not used to a medium that's full coverage, and when going over it, it won't change anything in color. So for now, the flower petals look very flat, but I promise I will make them more alive a bit later. I'm also coloring in the base of the leaves with the colors green and emerald green. Finally, it's time for the winter woods. I used a different technique for these trees. Since they were really close to the background color, I decided to go in with a navy blue watercolor to paint the shadows. Then I went in with my white acrylic marker to highlight the parts where snow has fallen onto the tree. This way it blends in beautifully. With the white, I also added some clouds to the sky. With the orange yellow, I'm filling in the fields with tiny flowers. And with khaki, I drew tiny paths. With brown, I drew the sides of the fields. And added some details in the bark of the pixie dust tree. To make the flowers look more alive, I tried to go in with watercolors, but that doesn't work too well on an acrylic base. So I tried watering down the acrylic paint and make them fade into each other. For this, I'm using the same colors as on the Spring Valley trees. To create more depth in the leaves, I also combined dark green in the mix and used 3 colors to create highlights and shadows. The flower petals were still too flat for me, so I'm using Run Red to create more highlights. And Purple Red for the shadows. I blended them nicely and voila! To finalize the page, I'm drawing the letters for June, and then the cover page is finished. Now on to the monthly calendar. For this page, I'm drawing Tinkerbell's little house. I'm starting with a blue background and blending it with a vibrant green. Since Tinkerbell is, of course, living in the Tinker's Nook, there are more dark and muted colors here. I'm using shades of brown for the branch and their house. Then painted their roof. And with the markers, I colored in her little flower, her door, and added texture to her house. Then it was time for the little leaves that grow all over her house. And added some highlights to the roof. Now I can add some details to the branch, starting with the mushroom steps in the color khaki. And then I also added some extra little leaves. With brown, I added some shadows to the mushrooms and added some extra depth to the branch. Now it's time for the pink flowers, and I did the exact same thing to them as on the cover page. I added some extra details to the painting and then moved on to the calendar part. Starting with highlighting the calendar section with my Tombow 761, wrote the numbers and drew the word June. Some final details, and the monthly calendar is done. quote and gratitude page. I'm starting off with the sunset painting of Beach Cove. Here Tinkerbell first discovered lost things. I painted the background in watercolors so I could go in for details with my acrylic markers. Using brown to first draw the basic shapes of the palm trees. Then I used the dark green watercolor to create some more depth in the piece and added details in the sand. Also using different markers to create more texture in the sand and sea, and then it's finally done. Now it's time to write the word gratitude and number the pages. When the sea has dried, I'm writing down the quote, "The glow of each day's sunshine," from one of their songs. Now this page is finished as well, and we move on to the last page of this video. My weekly spread is inspired by the gorgeous view of the sunflower field during sunset. First, I'm painting the sky and the clouds, and then I painted a base of orange for the sunflower field. Secondly, I'm coloring in the big sunflower in the right corner with the color orange-yellow, and then adding in the middle part with the color brown. Then, with that same color, I drew dots all over the field and added petals to them. From there, I scribbled basic floral shapes with the same yellow, leaving some gaps for different shades of sunflowers. Then I went in with the color orange to create some more depth. And filled every flower with a brown center. I decided that it needed some extra light, so I went in with a light yellow color for that. Lastly, I'm adding in the one green leaf and the painting was completed. I'm using a ruler to create the outlines of the boxes. Then I went in for the lettering and numbering, and to finish the page, I used my Tombow 761 to highlight each box. And there it is, the final flip through of June 2021. I just wanted to quickly remind you that if you want to order at 𝙷𝚎𝚘𝚎𝚘 or if you want to order at Orchard & Olive, you can use the code AmbersNotebooks10 for 10% of your entire purchase. The links to the products that I'm using will be found in the description box below. I hope you like my video, and if you're new here, make sure to check out my other videos, and maybe like and subscribe. Hopefully this video gave you some inspiration for your journal. Comment down below what your June theme is. Thank you guys for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye!